going to deliver a speech on the effects of divorce on children. Unfortunately, in today's society, divorce is something that has become very common and can be seen on a daily basis. Divorce on children is a problem that causes mental and physical effects on children. Kids go into depression, feel anger, sad, and discover all kinds of emotions and feelings. Attention needs to be brought to this subject to protect kids from experiencing this. The statistics of divorce are staggering. 41% of first marriages end in divorce, 60% of second marriages end in divorce, and 73% of third marriages end in divorce. With so much going on in today's society and fast-paced world, many families are under a lot of stress due to many factors. Financial issues, work stresses, providing for the children, relationship problems, health issues, and many other problems that lead to parents divorcing. There are many studies that focus on the effects of divorce has on children. All kids handle situations in different ways, but many seem to react similarly when it comes down to their parents splitting up. A common theme that we tend to hear a lot today in today's society is staying together for the kids. In many cases, that is not considered to be a good philosophy to follow. Although divorce has many negatives in a child's eyes, having their parents stay together, although they are constantly fighting, and expressing this behavior in front of the children could almost be worse than having their parents separate. A typical child should be happy, worry-free, and enjoying life, especially between the ages of anywhere from, let's say, 2 through 6. Children should not be exposed to yelling, fighting, cussing, violence, or abuse of any type. Unfortunately, divorce tends to cover the majority of these topics, and it's very sad to see a child have to go through not only their parents separating, but also for them to watch what is going on. It ends up leaving the child scared. Many children develop a false hope or sense of love and marriage and have a hard time with it as they get older after watching what they have experienced with their parents as a kid. Also, children tend to find many emotions and feelings they have never felt before. Many become angry, sad, depressed, hurt, and very mean. Kids tend to take their anger out on other kids at school or maybe even their own siblings because they can't go to their parents, the ones who are causing the pain. Age almost doesn't matter during a circumstance like divorce because divorce introduces almost a whole new life for a child, one they're not used to and they will have to readjust to. Balancing time back and forth between mom and dad. Kids who are older can relate a little bit better and know what's going on, but that isn't to say younger kids do not see what is going on. Also, as they grow older, it is almost certain that they will remember back to what they saw when they were younger. Having to witness their parents lose love, break their commitment to each other, and live without both parents in the household really takes a toll on a child emotionally and sometimes even physically. Following divorce, children are 50% more likely to develop health problems than two-parent families. Every child has their own ways of showing emotion and ways they express it during certain situations. Once a child reaches a point of all related stress is when more serious issues can come into play, such as emotional, physical, and behavioral problems. Many who become very angry tend to become very violent, which leads to even bigger problems, not only for the child, but for the parents and society as well. 70% of long-term prison inmates grew up in broken homes. There are also statistics that show that boys handle divorce differently than girls, with boys tending to be more aggressive. Particularly, boys tend to be more aggressive towards others than those children whose parents did not divorce. It is hard for children, especially younger ones, to separate their school and social life outside of what may be happening at home. Children at young ages do not understand and cannot process why their parents can't be together. With it being all more than they can handle or even begin to understand, it just becomes very frustrating and confusing, and many questions come into play. Who will I live with? Where will my dad live? Will my mom still love me? Will my dad still love me? All these questions trigger them to question their security and their relationship with their parents. Many become very insecure, and others notice a difference in their personality and behavior. Young children of all ages depend on their parents to show them all the right way to do certain things throughout life. And the one they rely on the most is love. Children are constantly observing how their parents interact with each other, and it forms and it forms the basis of how they believe relationships and marriages are supposed to be. Therefore, if a child is constantly watching their dad and mom scream back and forth at each other, abuse one another, or whatever type of conflict there may be in the relationship, the children will then begin to think that is the right way to act towards one another. A child will become very confused, and this is when stress begins to take place, not knowing the right way from the wrong way to love, because they look up to their mom and dad and they are expecting they are teaching them the right way. But then when they see other adults, maybe out of friends, aunts, uncles, in a healthy relationship expressing the way love should be and getting along, they don't understand, because that is not how their parents are expressing love at home. Parents are a child's #1 role model, and they are always looking up to them, regardless if the child expresses it verbally. Divorce doesn't always have to be something a child looks back on and remembers as the worst time in their childhood. It's all about how the parents go about the situation and handle things while the process is taking place. For adults, divorce is a conclusion, but for children, it's the beginning of uncertainty. Now that I have described the problems of divorce on children and some of the causes, and finally some solutions and ways parents can try and cope with their kids, I would love to reach out and make a difference, because with how popular divorce is today, it's heartbreaking to watch a child go down a scary path of divorce, especially when it's rather aggressive or a hateful divorce.